Dragon Age Inquisition was rated M for mature by the ESRB and contains blood, intense violence, nudity, sexual content, and strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello everyone, my name is Amaronith and I play games for the internet, and today we're playing Dragon Age Inquisition. Last time we beat the game, so it's time for another Codex entry reading. Starting with characters. Cassandra Pentaghast, Lord Seeker Lucius, I am fully aware of the intent behind your predecessor's declaration. Lord Seeker Lambert pried the Templars away from the Chantry control and led them into an assault upon all mages, for reasons you both find justified. I, however, am uncertain when the Seekers of Truth went from guarding against injustice to perpetuating it. If you truly believe that is not the case, I suggest you look out a window at the chaos this war has caused, and ask yourself if Thedas will recover even if you are victorious. I remain at Divine Justinia's right hand, and will stay there even if you brand me a traitor. I am sorry, but there is too much at stake to swerve from the path we willingly followed at the Chantry's foundation. From a letter by Seeker Cassandra Pentaghast to Lord Seeker Lucius Corrin, Dragon 939. Now her hand is raised, a sword to pierce the sun. With iron shield she defends the faithful. Let chaos be undone. Canticle of Victoria 1-3. Harley, why are you like this? Solas, Cassandra, I understand our first order of business must be to investigate this bizarre breach in the sky and protect people from the demons descending. While my search continues, I wish to draw your attention to a new arrival at our camp, an elven apostate calling himself Solas. Solas entered the camp voluntarily, surrendering his staff to Chantry forces without protest. He is not Dalish, and says that he has never been part of the Circle, claiming instead to have studied magic peacefully on his own, particularly magic tied to the Fade. While I accept you will be reluctant to accept the help of an apostate, Solas did come to us freely. Witnesses saw him in a nearby village at the time of the blast, so he was likely not responsible for what happened at the Conclave. However, he has described the effects of the breach in enough detail to convince me that he knows more about the Fade than anyone else present. Solas has requested permission to study the lone survivor and one of the smaller rifts, in hope of finding a way to seal the breach. He has correctly guessed that it is growing, and believes it will destroy the entire world unless we find a way to stop it. Unless you object, I will allow him his studies, under proper supervision, of course. Liliana. Inquisitor, despite my efforts, I have been unable to locate Solas from the last sight of your battle with Corypheus. He was last seen headed west, still distraught over the destruction of the orb Corypheus carried. From there he disappeared, evading my people so easily and so completely that I am forced to wonder how much he knew about them. When Solas initially approached the Inquisition and offered aid, I questioned him extensively about his background and history. He was evasive, but he did give the name of the village where he grew up, noting that it was small, unlikely to appear on any map. I hate loose ends, so I kept a few of my agents searching to verify his story. They recently located the village, or what remains of it. It is a ruin, and has been for centuries, its name preserved only in degraded form in ancient Tevinter mysteries. Whoever Solas truly is, wherever he came from, he has deceived us from the very start. I apologize for not investigating this more thoroughly while Solas was here. He was clearly helping us, and other matters were of greater urgency, but it was an oversight nevertheless. Given how little he shared with us, it is not clear what his plans are, if any, but I will continue to search. Liliana. Groups. The Sentinel Elves. Elves ambushed us just when the Master said they would, 5 days into the wilds. They move faster than any elf I've seen, and they know the forest like they were born of it. The ones who escape melt back into the shadows. They're strong, and they know no fear. Every damn elf we cut down fights to the last. The attacks have slowed since we doubled the watch. We've killed enough to make them pause. Corypheus says the elves called themselves Sentinels. We were going over the plan for the final assault on their temple, and he told me the elves were fighting are the last true priests of their old gods. Before I could stop myself, I asked how he knew. I felt like a damn fool the moment the words left my mouth, but the Master just looked at me, then opened his hand. A second later, that magic orb was floating over it. He told me it was Elven, that events made him believe it came to him for a purpose. The Master turned, and I thought I was dismissed, but his voice stopped me before I left. He said, solemn as I've ever known him, that there were many things he couldn't tell me, that he hid them so I would stay focused on the well. He said that I'll sacrifice much, and there will be no secrets once I've become the vessel. I left then, but I can't stop thinking about it. I'd swear there was regret in those last words. Wish I knew exactly what for. Charred excerpt from a logbook kept by Samson, recovered by Inquisition spies from the wreckage of a Red Templar camp in the Arbor Wilds. The rest of the book is too blackened by fire to make out. History. Ancient Elven writing. This Elven writing found in the Arbor Wilds is so old, there seems to be no way to learn what it means. There are whispers from the Well of Sorrows. It's impossible to understand the entire text, but certain parts suddenly reveal a shadow of their original meaning. His crime is high treason. He took on a form reserved for the gods and their chosen, and dared to fly in the shape of the divine. The sinner belongs to Durthamen. He claims he took wings at the urging of Ghilan'nain, and begs protection from Mythal. She does not show him favor, and will let Elgar'nan judge him. For a moment there is an image of a shifting, shadowy mass with blazing eyes, whose form may be one or many. Then it fades. Old Elven writing. This Elven writing found in the Arbor Wilds is so old as to be incomprehensible. There are whispers from the Well of Sorrows. It's impossible to understand the entire text, but certain parts suddenly reveal a shadow of their original meaning. In this place we prepare to hunt the pillars of the earth. Their workers scurry, witless Solas. This death will be a mercy. We will make the earth blossom with their passing. For one moment there is a vivid image of 2 overlapping spheres. Unknown flowers bloom inside their centers. Then it fades. The mystery of June. Each elven god represents an aspect of their ancient civilization, each story a metaphor for this aspect. June's is least understood. Depictions stretch back to ancient Arlathan, but he appears most seldom of all their deities. Dalish legend says June is a god of crafts and building, but the oldest depictions have none of the tools the Dalish associate with him. June's role may have changed over time, or simply cannot be understood today. As the elves fell, ancient Tevinter spared little thought to preserving any Dalish culture not convenient or understood. From a treaty on the pagan and heretical customs of the Elven by Sentinel Tavernier of the University of Orlais, commissioned by Empress Celine. Twins in Shadow. Durthamen and Falon'din are linked in Dalish legend as inseparable twin brothers. Scraps of elven stories from after the fall of Arlathan transcribed into Tevinter and recently lent to our fair university, refer to them as twin souls, but draw no family connection. The oldest stories never even name them directly, referring to Falon'din as Dirthaman's shadow, and Dirthaman as Falon'din's reflection. The little we understand implies their bond was not romantic, beyond even the strongest friendship. The legends of Dirthaman and Falon'din may have been an allegory for complex elven relationships we lack context to comprehend. From A Treatise on the Pagan and Heretical Customs of the Elven by Sentinel Tavernier of the University of Orlais, commissioned by Empress Celine. Unreadable Elven Writing. Veilfire writing from a ruin in the Arbor Wilds. The script is so ancient it defies translation. There are whispers from the Well of Sorrows. It's impossible to understand the entire text, but certain parts suddenly reveal a shadow of their original meaning. She took the radiance of the stars, divided them into grains of light, then stored them in a shaft of gold. Andruil, blood and force, save us from the time this weapon is thrown. Your people pray to you. Spare us the moment we become your sacrifice. There is a brief image of an elaborate golden spear, glowing with unbearable heat. Then it fades. Untranslatable Elven Writing. This Veilfire script was hidden in the Arbor Wilds. It's so old it cannot be translated into any known language. There are whispers from the Well of Sorrows. It's impossible to understand the entire text, but certain parts suddenly reveal a shadow of their original meaning. We are trapped. The ones born here do not understand the keenness of what we have lost, or why so many of their elders weep as they enter Uthenera. The new ones are faithful to Mythal, but do not understand what she was in her fullness. Without the wise to lead them, they will lose what they should have been. I will teach them. They must serve. We must prepare for those who cast Mythal down. I shed my name the day I began her service. I shed my new one again, now that she rests. I will only be known by the sorrow that cuts my heart. For a moment, there is a feeling of wrenching loss. Then it fades. What pride had wrought. And as the black clouds came upon them, they looked on what pride had wrought, and despaired. The work of man and woman, by hubris of their making, the sorrow a blight unbearable. Canticle of Thernates, 7:10-11. Pride. What other sin wounds us so deeply as pride? It drove the old Tevinter magisters to blacken the Golden City. It pushed Mafarath to betray beloved Andraste, and it has made fools of kings and peasants ever since the Maker formed us from nothing. Pride disguises itself in surety. Who among us has not looked at our fair country and thought, "Surely we are safe here, under protection. Our world will last forever, for we are mighty and wise." These verses say to the faithful, go and look upon the ruins of old, and ask who remembers the faces of those who dwelled there. Only the Maker's knowledge is complete. The words he gave us through blessed Andraste are the one true constant in our world. A land without the chant is doomed to be forgotten by time. Notes on the Chant of Light by Mother Bezoria of the Grand Cathedral, 937 Dragon. Doom upon all the world. And so is the Golden City blackened with each step you take in my hall. Marvel at perfection, for it is fleeting. You have brought sin to heaven, and doom upon all the world. Canticle of Thernates, 8:13. There is very little of the infamous 13th verse that we can take literally. It speaks in the voice of the Maker himself, since he has never deigned to speak to his children directly. We can rest assured it is a work of fiction. There are facts, however, which support it, at least in part. Records remain from the time prior to the First Blight, saying that, yes, 7 Magisters did open a portal to the Fade physically. These 7, whose true names we have lost to either legend or deliberate obscurement, did so at the behest of the old gods, who whispered from their ancient prisons. We also know that the Golden City, visible from every part of the Fade by any mage at the time, turned black as night the moment these 7 breached its gates. Everything else, the accusations of sin, the suggestion that these 7 became the first Darkspawn, that they were directly responsible for the blights to come, all of that is conjecture. From Questioning the Chant by Magister Vibius Agorian. Places. The Temple of Mythal. Once again, Genitivi is completely at odds with reality. Ancient elven temples were no simple shrines. Extensive digging shows that buildings radiated out of the main edifice, much like a city wrapped around a palace. Indeed, these temple complexes must have been cities once, with a veritable army of functionaries running them. Each cult had different rituals, ablutions, and prayers to their chosen patron that ran all hours of the day. The time and effort devoted to them must have been staggering. Perhaps it's best we have lost knowledge of these pagan rites. The deities that the old elves worshipped, if they existed at all, were clearly demons masquerading as higher powers. One shudders to think of what went on before their thrones. From an essay by Atranus of Antiva, scholar and naturalist to the Antivan royal court. Tales. Elven God Andruil. One day Andruil grew tired of hunting mortal men and beasts. She began stalking the Forgotten Ones, wicked things that thrive in the abyss. Yet even a god should not linger there, and each time she entered the void, Andruil suffered longer and longer periods of madness after returning. Andruil put on armor made of the void, and all forgot her true face. She made a weapon of darkness, and plague ate her lands. She howled things meant to be forgotten, and the other gods became fearful Andruil would hunt them in turn. So Mythal spread rumors of a monstrous creature, and took the form of a great serpent, waiting for Andruil at the base of a mountain. When Andruil came, Mythal sprang on the hunter. They fought for 3 days and nights, Andruil slashing deep gouges in the serpent's hide. But Mythal's magic sapped Andruil's strength, and stole her knowledge of how to find the void. After this, the great hunter could never make her way back to the abyss, and peace returned. Translated from Ancient Elven found in the Arbor Wilds. Source unverified. Song to Elgar'nan. Elgar'nan, wrath and thunder, give us glory, give us victory over the earth that shakes our cities. Strikes the usurpers with your lightning, burn the ground under your gaze, bring winged death against those who throw down our work. Elgar'nan, help us tame the land. Song to Elgar'nan, found in the Temple of Mythal. Author unknown. Song to Falon'din. The people swore their lives to Falon'din, who mastered the dark that lies, whose shadows hunger, whose faithful sing, whose wings of death surround him thick as night. Lethanavir, Master Scryer, be our guide through shapeless worlds and airless skies. Song to Falon'din, found in the Temple of Mythal. Author unknown. Song to Sylaise. Sylaise, whose heat rivals Elgar'nan's light. Sylaise, whose temples rival Mythal's cities. Sylaise, whose breath rivals Andruil's spear. Sylaise, whose skill rivals June's craft. Sylaise, whose fires cannot be quenched. We give ourselves gladly to your service. Song to Sylaise, found in the Temple of Mythal. Author unknown. The Ascension of Ghilan'nain. Ghilan'nain kept herself apart from the people. She used her power to create animals none had ever seen. The skies teemed with her monsters, the land with her beasts. Andruil hunted them all, and after a year of killing, approached Ghilan'nain with an offer. The gods would share their power with Ghilan'nain, but only if she destroyed her creations, for they were too untamed to remain among the people. Ghilan'nain agreed, and asked for 3 days to undo what she had made. On the first day she struck down the monsters of the air, except those she presented to Andruil as a gift. On the second day she drowned the giants of the sea, except those in deep waters, for they were too well wrought, and pride stopped her hand. On the third day she killed the beasts of the land, except the Hala, whose grace she loved above all else. This is how Ghilan'nain was made youngest of the gods. Story of the Elven God Ghilan'nain. Author unknown. The Judgment of Mythal. Whenever one of the people wronged another, they would not call on Elgar'nan to avenge them, for his fury would destroy all it touched. Mythal saw this bring strife among the people, and went to Elgar'nan. She offered to deliver justice when the people warred amongst themselves. Elgar'nan saw her wisdom and agreed, binding all to abide by her verdicts. Some petitioning Mythal for justice hid jealousy, accusing those who had done them no wrong. She saw their lies and struck them down. Others, petitioning Mythal for justice, burned with wrath for imagined slights. She saw their weak hearts and struck them down. Those coming to her with clear minds and open hearts were granted judgment and protection, and Mythal harried their enemies until the end of their days. Story of the Elven God Mythal. Author unknown. The Nug King. All praise the Nug King, sate his appetite with cheese. Older is better. From Songs That Only Nugs Can Hear, by Paragon Ebrian, 584 Exalted. A hot debate among Nug admirers is whether the king in Paragon Ebrian's songs was royalty of some kind or merely an especially magnificent specimen of the breed. Every year, scholars, bards, and rodent enthusiasts bring offerings of cheese to the deep roads, hoping for a glimpse of the Nug King who remains elusive. And that is that. Feels like there should be more for the end of the game, but we've been sticking pretty close to it. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye-bye.